Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Yes, You Are Brave. I'm Pawnee, your host. Let's jump in. Let's talk brave. Today, I am really excited about the episode because I feel like this is something that is very important. And I know I say that all the time, but I love this topic because today we are talking about building confidence one brave choice at a time. Now, I don't know about you, but I feel like for a lot of my life, I was just very much, I'm not brave, I'm not confident, I'm not this, I'm not that. But I realized that that wasn't really true. That was just me living in a box. So let's talk about how we can live outside of that box and how we can build on some things. So we're going to build a little bit on last week's episode. We talked about how you don't have to have it all figured out. And we also talked about building habits. Okay. And I think that is very important. Building the habits, those are going to help build your confidence as well. And we're going to talk about that as well. So one of the things that we need to talk about is we need to start doing little things, making little brave choices that are going to then help us build confidence. Now, let's talk for just a moment about the momentum that can happen in our lives when we start making brave choices. No matter how small they are, we all build on momentum. We need to build on this momentum. We learn, we grow, we make one brave choice. It's easier to make a second brave choice. Just like when you make a dumb decision, it's easier to make a dumb decision. So let's use that momentum to our advantage, because the more small brave choices that we make, the easier it's going to be to make those bigger brave choices later on. So don't discount the little ones. They build up and they help you with the bigger choices. And we're going to learn as we make these small little choices, you're going to learn to trust yourself and you're going to learn to show up for yourself. And I know that this sounds strange, but most of us are perfectly happy and we show up for everybody else all the time. We don't, however, always show up for ourselves. And that becomes a problem when we stop showing up for ourselves. We feel like we become someone we can't trust. We need to learn how to be somebody that we can count on. Okay? That is one of the biggest ways I feel like we can grow our confidence is we become someone that we can count on individually and for ourselves. You keep your word to yourself. Now, I don't know how many of you have read Rachel Hollis's books. A couple years ago, on the recommendation of a friend, I read Girl Wash Your Face and then the other ones that follow that. And in Girl Wash Your Face, one of the things that Rachel Hollis talks about is she talks about keeping promises to yourself. She said, if you don't keep promises to yourself, then you basically teach yourself that you are somebody that you cannot trust. So if you say you're going to work out, you work out so that you show up for yourself and you teach yourself, you learn that you are somebody that you can trust. And I love this, and I love the way that she talks about it. And if you have not read her book, I would highly recommend it. It's really fun. But showing up for yourself and teaching yourself that you can trust yourself. I know a lot of times we struggle, especially when big, crazy things happen in our lives or in the world. And that is a very common occurrence now for crazy things to be happening in the world. It's hard to feel like we can trust ourselves. But we learn to trust ourselves. We learn to be bold and brave by showing up for ourselves. And I didn't have this originally in the plan for this episode, but I was thinking about it, looking at some things. And one of those things that I think we need to talk about, at least for a second, is taking care of ourselves physically, mentally, and emotionally, right? There's all the things in the world. I remember sitting in so many lessons, a lot of them in church, and I'm like, oh, how do we have charity? And for other people, and how do we be nice, or these things? And people would give wonderful, beautiful answers about seeing people as people and children of God and all of these different things. And a lot of them were in a little bit different place in life than I was. At that point, I was in a big kid job. I was teaching, had all of these things going. And the only thing that I could think of in half of those lessons was go to bed. Because I knew for me personally, doesn't matter all the nice things, all the thinking good things about other people, seeing them as whatever. It didn't matter if I was tired. I am not a person that can function if I don't sleep well. I'm not. And you probably are too. At least you will be. If you're not yet, you will be. Okay. We need to stop pretending that taking care of our physical body is not necessary. You need to sleep. You need to drink water. You need to eat well. You need to take care of you. That also builds confidence, because I don't care what you say or what you do. It is very hard to feel confident and to feel brave with yourself if you physically feel like crap. And I know that sometimes life is going to knock us down. I know sometimes we're not always going to be well. We're going to get a stomach bug. We're going to get the flu. We're going to get strep throat. Those things happen. But I can guarantee you that if you are not taking care of yourself physically, you're going to struggle more to be bold, to be brave, and to feel confident in yourself, because it is just impacts us so much if we don't have this. If we don't feel good physically, it is hard to feel good any other way. So take the time, and whatever that looks like for you, build those little things of confidence, of taking care of yourself physically, showing up for yourself that way. And like I said, you know what you need to do probably. You probably just need to do it. Just like I know exactly what I need to do to feel better physically, I just need to do it. So show up for yourself, right? Be somebody that you can trust. Be somebody that you can trust to take care of you in those things as well, right? Going to bed. Like I said, I don't want to tell you what to do to take care of yourself physically, but most of us need to sleep more. Most of us need to drink more water. Most of us need to move a little bit more and eat a little less crap. But that's all I'm going to say on that one. But learn how to take care of yourself and what you need and what your body needs, and do that. So, and make that a habit, right? I want you to pick one habit that you need to work on. Just one. We're not going to do a ton of things. We're not going to have big, huge lists again. The last couple episodes, we talked about starting small, not being overwhelmed, but all the things that we need to do. So I want you to pick one habit, okay? One habit to establish, one habit to work on, and let your confidence grow as you build that habit. I would love to know what it is. You can share it with me. If not, that's totally fine. For me personally, I feel like I need to move my body more. I feel better when I have some sort of movement in my day. I sleep better. When I sleep better, everything is just better. So that for me is a habit that I feel like I have lost, and I need to be reestablishing that this year, starting with 5-10 minutes at a time. So that is one thing that I'm going to do. But I want you to do that. Like, pick one thing you feel like, okay, that's really going to help my confidence. It also really helps my confidence when I'm moving more. I move my body. I feel better. Eventually it's going to start to show, and I will, not like I'm going to completely change the way that I look, but my clothes will fit a little better. There's a lot of ripple effects from that. So that's one thing I want you to do, is pick something to work on. Okay. I also want you to remember that bravery and courage, they're not just something that you're born with. Okay, they're not. And I know I used to think that way of like, oh, I'm just not that brave. Or I don't have this. I wasn't born with that. Doesn't matter what you were born with. Bravery and courage, they are skills, and they can be learned and developed. I'm going to say that again for you, in case you were not listening, in case you, whatever. Bravery and courage, they're not gifts you were born with. They are skills that you can learn and you can develop, just like anything else. And it happens one little brave action at a time. Okay? There's something you can learn, you can develop, but they are kind of like muscles, right? The more you use them, the bigger, the stronger they're going to become. The less you use them, the smaller, the weaker they are going to become. Okay? So, remember that your little choices and your little actions are going to build on those skills. They're going to help you develop that muscle of courage, develop that muscle of confidence, develop the muscle of brave. And it is something that you can do and you can develop. It doesn't have to be something that you were born with. It really doesn't. You just have to want to do it, and you have to put in the effort. So how do we do that, right? Talk about the habits from last week, and I want you to try one habit that's going to help you in your life that you feel like needs to happen. And you probably already know what it is. When I told you pick one habit, there's one that's been like right there on the edge of everything, waiting for you, kind of tapping on your brain, on the side of your brain for a while that you know you need to do. That's probably the one to start with. The other thing, a couple other things to do to develop this bravery, to develop this courage, is pick one thing every week that scares you. Now, this doesn't have to be big. This doesn't have to be crazy, but pick one thing and do it every week that scares you. Okay? Whether it is going to a different store, try out that new store, at least go look at it, or drive to work a different way, or take public transportation for something. Do something that scares you every week. Do something a little different. And I say that things like that. Sometimes it feels so little and so small. I remember when I first moved to Utah, I had come from very, very small places. And all of a sudden I was going to a college that was 30,000 students. And I had to drive there, and then I had to walk across campus. It was kind of scary. And I felt like I didn't know, I was just nervous to drive in such a big place. And so for me, it was really hard to take a different route. I went the same way every day, drove the same way every day to school. And eventually I got to where I would okay, let's try a different way. I think I know how to get home this way. Maybe let's try a different way. And eventually I found a way that I liked better and was faster. But you have to be brave enough to try those things. Try a different flavor of ice cream, or go to a different yoga class, or whatever it is. Pick one thing a week that scares you. The next thing that I want to talk about, like I said, I'm not going to throw a million things at you, just a couple. Okay. One is we're working on that habit, developing a habit, and it can be 2 or 3 minutes at a time. I would actually prefer if it was just 2 or 3, no more than 10 minutes at a time. We're going to develop that habit. We're going to do one thing every week that scares us. Okay. One thing that's scary, that's new. Remember, your brain, when you try new things, it sees new things as scary because it's not familiar. Not because it's terrible or awful, but your brain sees new as potentially dangerous because it just doesn't know. So one habit, one thing a week that scares us. And then the last thing that I want to tell you to do to build your confidence right now, and that is not super huge, is to stop putting things off. Just do them, right? I know that this is something that seems very unrelated. It seems very like it doesn't matter, but I feel like it is something that, for me at least, has helped my confidence grow a lot. And that is when I stop putting things off. It's very easy to put things off, especially those small little things that aren't really that big, that aren't really that important. And it's easy to put them off and put them off and put them off. But the more we put things off, the more it's kind of letting ourselves down. So if we just do things, whatever they are, especially little things, right? And I found that as I do the little things around my home is tidier, it's neater, it feels better. I'm able to be more confident in my own home when it is neater. So it's just another way of building confidence. It's another way of showing up for yourself. Okay. Also, especially if you've got some executive functioning struggles, like a lot of us do, don't put it down, put it away. And that is something that will help your confidence grow more than you could think of. I used to think when people would talk about stuff like that, I thought it was the stupidest thing in the world. It didn't really matter. But the more I started doing those little things, it did help my confidence increase, and it will help your confidence grow. I also want to encourage you to be patient with yourself. It's hard to build trust in anybody, and especially ourselves, because we don't always give ourselves the clean slate that we give other people, right? We meet somebody new and they've got this beautiful clean slate and we let them just be who they are and show us what they want. And we don't give ourselves that privilege very often to a clean slate because we know all the times that we have let ourselves down. We know all the times we haven't shown up, and it sometimes can be hard to trust ourselves. But here's the thing. Let's be a little patient. Let's allow ourselves time to change. One of the bravest things you can do is give yourself permission to change, to allow people to change, including yourself. That's hard. It's hard to look past all of the faults, all of the failures in the past for somebody and say, okay, I'm going to allow you to change. That's hard. It's not easy. It's not natural. So give yourself a break, give yourself grace, allow yourself to change, right? And as you become somebody that you can count on, you'll learn to trust yourself more and more. All those little things that you do that showing up for yourself, it's going to help you be somebody that you can count on. It's going to build your confidence, and it's going to help you be have more courage and live a braver life. I promise. And also, just remember that you get to decide where you're going and what you want to be. You really do. It's not something that anybody gets to decide for you. You get to decide what you want. And you get to build the life that you want to be. You get to build the person that you want to be. And that comes one little decision, one choice, one action at a time. So don't get in a hurry and say that you're failing and you're not capable of things when really what you just need is some more time. Okay? But building things one little bit at a time is going to make a huge difference. And I know it's hard. It's hard to feel like we all want it now. We want everything now. But if we just keep making, okay, what's one brave choice that I can make today? If that's saying no, say no. If that is going for a walk, go for a walk. If that is reaching out to somebody for help, do that. One brave choice at a time. That's how we're going to build your confidence. That's how we're going to build your courage, and how you are going to build the life that you love and be the person that you want to be. Remember, you can do it. You're amazing. You're wonderful. You're awesome. You've got this. And we are so rooting for you. I'm so rooting for you. One little choice, one little brave thing at a time. Celebrate those little wins and share them with me. I'd love to know what you're doing to build your brave, beautiful life. I love you. You're wonderful. You're amazing. You're awesome. And yes, my dear, you are brave. Have a fantastical day.